Observatory from 25th Century Games. Rolling dice, mapping out stars, making constellations. I've already played it solo. There will be a link right up here above if you want to check that out. So now I'm going to kind of share my thoughts on who I think might want to back this. The link is down below for the campaign, but stick around after break. I'm going to show you how it plays. Then after that, tell you who I think would like it. Let me go over briefly how Observatory is played. I will start off saying this is a prototype copy. Everything here is subject to change. Check the campaign link down below to see the current state of the game. So you are going to give each person a sheet, a writing utensil. You're going to have the 4 dice given to the first player, who you're going to choose however you deem fit. So there you have the dice, the first player marker. You are going to select the round board based on number of players. You have 1 player, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are going to show you the 2. You're then going to take the round tracker, put it on round 1. You're going to shuffle up the decks of small constellations and large constellations. Each player is going to get 3 from each deck. You're going to be laying out 3 as a display. Then from these 6 cards, the players are going to choose 4 that they're going to keep for their personal stash, their objectives, the things they're working on. So let me show you a few things about these cards. So on here shows the order and then the lines of which the constellation needs to be made. Here's its name and then some facts about it. Your points are going to be up here in the corner. For these small ones, the A's are scored based on how many of them you have. They're in the rulebook, and I'll go over that when I go over endgame scoring. If there is a symbol here underneath the point total, that is a bonus action you will get when you complete this constellation. And again, there's the constellation. You're again going to take the ones you do not keep and place them face down on the bottom of the appropriate deck. You are then ready to begin with the first player. So the first player, and then when someone is the active player, is going to start by rolling the 4 dice. They're again going to announce the values to the table and place them out. So they're going to say we have a 2, 3, and 4, and then there's a 4 on this extra die. We'll get to the shooting star die here in a minute. But from these 3 dice, everyone at the same time is going to choose how they want to use them. They are going to plot 1 star on their board and then use one of them to do research down here on the tools. When you plot a star, you are going to look at the 2 numbers. In this instance, a 2 and a 3. You are going to find out where they intersect. So you have this spot here or this spot here. Then in one of the 4 spots where they intersect, you are going to draw a star. So in this instance, let's say I want to go 2 and 3. Then however you want, go ahead and draw a star. I'm not good at drawing, but we're going to say I went ahead and did a star like that at 2 and 3. I then am going to use the other die to make a mark down here into one of these tools on an open research one that shows its number. So I would just simply exit out, or I like to kind of fill it in to make it noticeable that it is taken. So all players are doing this simultaneously. If you rolled the shooting star die, which you will do when you are the active player, you are now going to plot 1 more star. You are going to look in the row or the column of that number. So in this instance, 4. So in this column, this row, and then anywhere in that column or row, you are going to mark another star. So I will say, you know what, let's go ahead and mark this one right there. Hey, that was a bit better. So then you would mark a star in that row. Once you are done with that, you then pass the dice to the next player. They are again going to roll. They are going to use the shooting star die in this instance, and then everyone's going to still use the 3 dice. Once everyone has had a turn being the active player and they come back to the person who has the first player marker, you move to the next round. If you move to a spot that shows a star / this little icon here, that means you can put in a star anywhere or mark off anywhere on the research track. So let's get into these tools really quick, and then I'll get into finishing up finalizing, plotting out a constellation. Your first tool here is a lens. So magnify and focus your observation. So before I go over what each one does, I do want to point out this little area right here. What happens here is when you have at least 3 of these research markers filled in, at that time or in a future turn, you can either mark off 1 star anywhere on your map or do 1 research on any research track. Once you choose which one you want to do, you're just going to kind of fill it in again to show that you have used it. So getting back to what these are. So your lens is once per turn on anyone's turn. You may use a single dice, either a regular die or a shooting star die, as its value is plus or minus 1. This does not change the die for the other players. So I could turn this 5 into a 4, the 1 into a 2, etc. The drive. So write a number that's 2 through 6 in the space provided. At this point, you'll notice that 1s aren't used. I forgot to mention this, 1s are wild. So if you have like a 4 and a 1, then you can basically do anywhere in the 4s because you have a 1 and the 1 would be wild. Same thing if your shooting star die is a 1, you could then put it anywhere. So you're going to place a number between 2 and 6 up here. So if I had wrote say 3, I'd put that up there. Then anytime this number is rolled, I treat it as wild. So if in the instance of this, if I rolled a 1 and a 3, I would actually be able to put the star anywhere because the 1 is wild naturally and the 3 is wild for me because of my drive. Same thing if I combine this with the lens and I had a 4, I could change the number down to a 3 in order to be able to use it as a wild number. Finder is locate more stars easily. You'll see these 4 star icons over here. You are going to be able to use those at any time by crossing one out or filling it in. I just like filling things in. It feels nice. And then you're able to put a star anywhere on your board, and you can do this up to 4 times. You have the filter. This is decreased light pollution. Each time you complete a constellation / asterism, which are the ones with the A's, you may do the bonus a second time. So in the instance, if I completed this one, I would normally be able to fill in a research track. Because of the filter, I would then be able to fill in a second one. The bottom one is slightly different in that once you do 3 of these, you do not get the bonus action, but this is going to give you points at the end of the game. At the end of the game, you're going to get a point for each funding space you filled in. So on my turn, if I have finished out making the stars look like one of the constellations, I can complete it. And you do so by, you'll just draw your lines between your constellation stars like so. And then you're going to put it face down off to the side to be able to score those points at the end of the game. You are then going to be able to take a constellation from here. If multiple people need to draw cards, it is done in a clockwise manner from the active player. But you would then simply just go ahead and grab another card like so. You also could grab one from the top of the deck. One thing to note with constellations is you cannot reuse stars and you cannot have lines go through other constellations. So for instance, for this one, I would not be able to do a star here, here, and here because that line would go through that constellation, so that would not be a valid location. I will say with these, you are allowed to rotate them, but you are not allowed to mirror them. So I would not be able to have it go this way unless it rotated that way, which it doesn't. So you can rotate, but not mirror. So as I said, some of them do have bonuses on them. Here are the 3 main bonuses. On this one, you have where if you complete this one, you're able to put a star anywhere. When you complete this one, you can fill in one of the research tracks. And then this one, you'll note that it picks a certain number, in this instance a 3. And this is the shooting star icon, which means if you complete this one, you can treat it as if you had a shooting star 3 die, but not a roll. So you are not able to adjust this with your lens. Instead, just in either the 3 row or column, you'd be able to place a star there. The game is going to end at the end of the last round on the tracking board. In the instance of a 2-player game, round 8. A 3-player game is 6 rounds. A 4-player game is 5 rounds. And then 4 rounds in a 5-player game. Just know every round you're going to be placing at minimum an amount of stars equal to the number of players plus 1, because you'll be placing one on each roll plus the shooting star, and then you may be able to place others based on various other game factors. At the end of the game, you are going to score points for your completed constellation cards, your completed asterism cards. As I said, those are the A's, and based on how many you have, you'll get 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, or 21 points. Once you reach at 21 points, you do not score anymore, and you don't reset, etc. You just max out at 21. Any of your research funding is going to be points, and then any unused stars, for every 2 unused star you have, you get a point. Let me show you an example of a couple different games that we had completed. So you'll notice I unlocked the special star. That's why I have 4. This was her score. She put 46 up there. But this is kind of, so as you see the difference, the way we decided to draw the stars. But this would be an example of kind of how you have the different constellations, not reusing stuff and not intersecting with each other. So that is the basics of Observatory. Let me go ahead and get into what I think of this. And there you have it. There are the basics of playing Observatory. Roll dice, put out stars, make constellations based on the cards you have. Also, don't forget about those tools. So one of the aspects I really liked about this game is just the whole spatial optimization of that space. It's kind of got that feel of the polyomino game where you're trying to insert the shapes to get rid of all that dead space, but these aren't your normal shapes. Plus, you have a lot more agency over where you can put things because of the different shapes and just the layout of the board. You're not going to have just those normal shapes. A lot of them are going to be awkward, and you can kind of put stuff inside of them as long as you're not crossing that line, which is just a really cool element, a new way of giving you that spatial puzzle without the same boring basic polyomino shapes. More so kind of like the connect the dots picture type aspect to it. I also really like that with the cards. You know, they're the constellations, they have the constellation names, they have facts about them, just all the different intricate types of shapes, and the fact that they have those bonuses on them. This isn't one of your typical roll and write games that's going to like trigger a bonus upon a bonus and have these comborific turns, but it still gives you that ability to optimize things more. And that's going to be what it is trying to get it to where you can take the most actions in those limited amount of turns you have. By maybe going with a lower point constellation card because you like the benefit better. Or, you know, trying to get all those A's to get the high score for the A's, seeing as they're all smaller, those asterisms. In addition with that, it's, you know, which tool do you prioritize? Do you prioritize the one that lets you get double the bonuses? That way you are getting those extra actions. Or do you want to make sure you have that wiggle room by having the -1/+1? Those 4 extra stars help, especially come the end of the game. Or if you just kind of almost do like the whole shotgun method and just try and get as many tools as you can, that way you unlock those bonus actions you can take with those. So it's something that the basic and the goal is very simple: put out stars, make the constellations. But how you get there and which strategy are you going to go with and which tools do you want to focus with? Do you want to just fill up funding for that end of game score? Or is there a point where you're going to switch to start doing those with your bonus actions? So there's a lot of strategy depth in this one. I will say, especially at the beginning, as you're trying to formulate your patterns and get your stuff figured in there, it might be a little slow going, especially as people are wrapping their heads around, you know, where can stuff go? How can I maneuver this shape? Where can this go in? But when Brian and I were playing it, I noticed, you know, those first couple of rounds were really slow with her. But then as the game went on and she started getting her focus, her turns really sped up. One of the things that I covered in the solo play that she liked to do is once she kind of knew where a shape was going, she would draw like little circles around the center, so that way she knew where she was going to want to place stars. And then that really helped her as well. So and then me, I like to kind of put these stars in the corners, kind of where I was working on them and in which orientation. So there are a lot of cool little tricks that we can do to kind of help speed up that. But like I said at the beginning, with you not knowing exactly where you might want to start stuff, you might know which constellation you want, but if that initial couple rolls don't come up there, you got to try and maintain where that space is going to be to the others. So if that is something you struggle with, maybe take a second look at this one. Just that whole spatial element could be a trip up for some people. I know that was one of the things that Bry initially did have her issue with it, but then as I said, once it started getting laid out, it started fitting in better in her head. So the things that I think people are really going to like about this one, I've talked about it ad nauseum. That spatial puzzle and trying to basically jigsaw everything in. The simultaneous play, the fact that on every roll, everyone is plotting out a star and doing the research track. So you are not going to be having that much downtime dependent unless someone triggers a bunch of actions by doing the constellations or whatever. To me, it's an interesting new installment in the roll and write genre with the different shapes of all the different constellations. That shooting star die is really awesome, where you can basically do a row or column with it. So it's never a first player advantage or the first player is going to get this. It's always just the active player. And then be able to even manipulate that die with the +1, -1 to be able to really have that maneuverability there. So that is what we all really liked about Observatory. So if you want to check it out, there will be a link to the campaign down below. Go ahead and check that out. There is another game kickstarting with it called Stargazers. We haven't had a chance to play that one, but given 25th Century's track record, we are really excited to see what that one will all offer. While down there, if you could also please go ahead and hit like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell for this channel and this video. Let me know what your favorite 25th century games are. We have liked quite a few. I'll have a link up above for all the games that we've covered by them if you are interested in delving into their catalog. Alrighty, so get out and gaze at the stars.